Hare Krishna, liebe Gäste, liebe Freunde, liebe Devotees, ein herzliches Willkommen zu unserem Krishna-Tempel in Zürich, an unserem Sonntagsfest. Hare Krishna, dear devotees, dear guests, a warm welcome to our Sunday festival at our Krishna Temple in Zurich. Our Sunday program is as follows. So the program is as follows. We will now have a talk till 5 o'clock, followed by our Sunday festival or Sunday feast. At 6:15 there will be a guided mantra meditation. At 7 o'clock a temple ceremony, and from 8 o'clock onwards there will be more mantra meditation in form of singing and music. For our talk, we are very happy to invite here Her Grace Devaki Mataji. Please welcome her with a big Haribol. She has joined the Krishna Conscious Movement in 1985 in Sydney, and she's been a very valuable member of this movement. She has a particular expertise in spiritual culture, or what we call in Krishna consciousness Vaishnava culture, and all over the world she is teaching spiritually inclined people how to have conducive relationships in places like USA, Europe, India, Bangladesh, Australia, and she's also an author. And today we are very happy that she's visiting Switzerland for a couple of days, and she agreed to give this our Sunday festival talk on the topic of our search for love. And before we start, I just request you all to come a little closer. Und für die Übersetzung gibt es jemand, der eine Übersetzung ins Deutsche braucht. Okay, so then we are very happy.
Ins Russische, Perwutschik Nojna. Nee, also gut. Om Agyantimandasya Gyananjala Shalakaya Chakshunmilitam Jana Tasmai Shri Guve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manupastam Sthapitam Yena Bhuttale Swayam Rupakaramayam Dadati Swavadantikam Namam Vishnupada Krishna Pista Bhuttale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Govani Pachaine Nivashesha Shunivari Pashatari Shatarine Vanshakapa Trivasha Kripa Sanumevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasari Go Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Yes, so even though I am German by nationality, but I can express myself better in English, because already for 40 years I'm not living in Germany anymore. And since we always have some people here who also don't understand English, German, that's why I'm speaking in English, so I hope you don't mind. Okay, so today we have a bit of a smaller group than usually, because yesterday we had quite a big festival actually. We had the appearance of Srimati Radharani. Yes, who was not here yesterday? Yeah, a few people were not here. So usually on the Sunday program we have so many more people, but yesterday was quite intense and blissful day. So many of our regular people they're a little tired maybe, and they're still enjoying that nice feeling from the yesterday's festival, so they probably take a free day because they have to work again tomorrow. I know that. So let me see, do we have anybody who is here for the very first time? Okay, special welcome to you. And English is okay for you? Yes. Yeah, I mean, here in Switzerland, most people speak English, you know. In other countries, it's not like that, but yes. Yeah, so our topic is our search for love, which does connect very nicely also with this festival we celebrated yesterday, because Radharani, she is like the pleasure potency, the pleasure energy of Krishna. It's a little complicated, but she embodies pure selfless love. And we were talking a little bit about this yesterday already. So I thought today, good opportunity to elaborate a little more on this topic of love. What is love? Right? Because, yeah, we can understand that the need, the basic need of the soul is to give love and to receive love. This is the very basic need of the soul. So, and that's why, if we are honest to ourselves and really look into our heart, we have to admit that we are all longing for this perfect and sublime loving relationship. Isn't it? Aren't we all longing for this and searching for this? Yes, we do. And we can even say that all our activities in this world are more or less a direct or indirect way of finding this love, or compensating for the fact that we haven't found it now, you know? And actually the root of this need and desire is that we all have an eternal loving relationship with the Supreme, with the Lord, with Krishna, whatever name you want to give him. And actually all religions are clear in this, you know? That's what the term religion, religere, it comes from Latin, from religere means to reconnect. By the way, same meaning as yoga. Yoga also comes from yog, Sanskrit, yog, and that also means to reconnect. So yoga and religion have the same meaning, actually. Basically meaning we want to re-establish this lost and forgotten relationship with the Lord. Yes, all religions have that in common, that we want to learn to love the Lord, right, in different ways and processes. Yeah, so, and because this relationship with the Lord is somewhat forgotten, we are a little disconnected from the Lord. And that's why we may also feel that there is always something lacking in our lives. We feel some incompleteness, right? Yes. Even this phenomenon of feeling lonely comes actually from that, you know? Yes, because this relationship with Krishna is forgotten and lost, and therefore we feel this loneliness. I think we all have that experience of sometimes feeling lonely, right? We may even be in the middle of so many people and we still feel lonely, isn't it? Yes. So it is there because this connection with Krishna, which is eternal and full of the highest form of love, actually, because this is lost. So therefore we feel lonely. And so many activities we do in this world, we are trying to distract ourselves from this loneliness. And while we are doing all these things, we may even be successful in forgetting the loneliness. Right? And then as soon as we stop these activities, we feel again all lonely. You know, like even going out Saturday evenings, wherever people go to the movies or to the restaurant and doing all these things. You know, there are actually ways to distract us from the loneliness. And then if we decide, no, this weekend I don't go anywhere, we may feel lonely. Yes. And even wanting to be successful in our work, what's behind it? We are striving for recognition and appreciation, which is also actually a form of love, right? Yes, yes. Or what other things? Even going shopping, consuming things, you know. We also distract ourselves from this loneliness, from this lack of love. Even sometimes we may be overeating on sweets. So what is behind that? Actually, we want to taste the sweetness of love, you know, with Krishna, actually. But because that is not there, we overeat on sweets. I have to have that sweet taste. Yeah. Yes, I mean the list is long. Even having pets, dogs, you know. Often people find it more convenient to have a loving relationship with a dog. He doesn't answer back and argue and all that. He's a pretty faithful friend, yeah. Or all our social dealings and engagements, and of course family life, you know. Yes, this is all attempts to find love. And of course the topmost way how we try and find this love is in the partnership, in man-woman relationship. If you don't mind, let's stick to that more traditional and common form of man-woman relationship, and let's not get into man-man, woman-woman relationship or something, even though it is getting more and more common. And we are not against, you know, people like that, but just to keep it more simple. So yes, this man-woman relationship is probably the most common way of thinking, I will find this love there. Yes. Yeah. So, but no matter how much we try and find this divine, perfect, sublime love, we always get frustrated, sooner or later, isn't it? Yes, yes. Even in this man-woman relationship, it usually starts all very rosy and promising, but then after a few years, or sometimes even only months, there's all kinds of disappointments coming, and and yes, people often separate. Divorce is such a common thing now, so it makes it very clear that even in this man-woman relationship also we cannot find this perfect love which the soul is really hankering for. Yes. And actually, in one of our scriptures, in Chaitanya Charitamrita, we call it, there is a nice statement. Actually, I will read this to you. I copied that in my little verse book here. And yes, there is an interesting statement which says one should try to discriminate between sexual love and pure love, for they belong to different categories with a gulf of difference between them. They are as different from one another as iron is from gold. Wow, something to think about. I mean, in English, it's all love, or in German, Liebe. But there is so many different kinds of love, like in Bengali. Anybody here speaks Bengali? Nobody. There's prem and kam. Kam is lust, prem is love to Krishna. So there's very clear distinctions already from the words, you know, from the terminology. But in English it's all love, right? I love my dog, and I love ice cream, and I love my husband, and I love Krishna. It's all love, all the same word. You know? So you can easily get confused, and you don't even realize that there is different kinds of love. Here in this statement, it says we should distinguish between sexual love, or we can also say emotional attachment, and some lustful desires. That's one kind of so-called love. But then there is pure love, which is pretty different. Yes, as it says here, it is so different, like iron is from gold. So all right, iron and gold, they have something in common. There's metals, but pretty different in value, right? Iron, pretty rough and gross and cheap. Gold, very, very precious. So naturally, if we look for gold, we have to know what gold looks like, right? What are the qualities of gold? If we don't know, then very easily we get cheated. And we think some cheap fashion jewelry is gold, right? And we will get disappointed when we find out, oh my God, I paid so much and it's not even gold. Or it's just gold plated only. And then the brass comes out after a while or something. Yeah, so we have to know what is what, so we can look for the gold and find it. In the same way, we have to be able to distinguish what is actually love. So now, let us, in just very basic words, understand what is the difference. So, when we have lustful feelings or sexual love, if we are honest, the main goal is my satisfaction, my pleasure. And we are willing to do so many austerities and sacrifices for the sake of my happiness, my satisfaction. So that's, we can say, material love. You know, it's all about me, actually. It is actually rather selfish, you know, yes. But then pure love is completely different. Yes, come in, come in. We are happy that you join us. and I'm sure you will find some spot here to sit. You can even sit right in the front here. Come here, don't be shy, because maybe there's more people coming, so we don't want people to sit in the door, you know, and then we'll block them. You here the first time?
Yes.
Okay, welcome. Good. Yes. Yeah, so pure love is very, very different. It's actually the opposite. There we are willing to sacrifice everything for the satisfaction of the beloved. Not my satisfaction, but satisfaction of the beloved. It's selfless, completely selfless. Yes. Our only interest is the happiness and pleasure of the beloved. That's pure love. Whereas material love or sexual love is my satisfaction. And I mean, we see so much crime and violence is performed in connection to sexual love, so-called love. Right? Yes, rape, murder, violence, so many things, you know? So obviously, if we are a little smart, a little intelligent, we can understand this actually has nothing to do with real love. Isn't that pretty obvious? Yes. Yeah. Yeah, so, and it's almost ironical that even though this man-woman relationship is so promoted and celebrated as the all-in-all perfection of life, you know? I mean, every movie or novel or song or whatever, poetry, you know, it wouldn't be a good movie if there wasn't some love plot in it, some love story. Nobody would watch it, you know, isn't it? Yes. So it is so promoted as the, and glorified as the all-in-all perfection of life, to find this pure love, you know. But then on the other hand, it is actually very far away from pure love, you know. When we can try and make a spectrum, that on one end of the spectrum is materialistic love or sexual love or emotional attachment or whatever we might want to call it. And then on the other end is pure divine love, selfless love. So if we look at the spectrum, actually Srila Prabhupada, who brought this knowledge to the whole world, he told us that the mother-child relationship is the purest form of love in this material world. Yes. Because actually to love means to serve. So, and in no other relationship, actually, can we open the window a bit to get some fresh air in? Yes. Because there's quite a few people in here who are heating up the room and take and breathe in the oxygen. Yes, so in no other relationship in this world is there as much selfless service as in the mother-child relationship. Anybody who is a mother here knows this. A mother serves 24/7, no off day, and you know, yes. I mean, if she is a good mother, of course these days, yeah, mothers are not so valued anymore. They are not so appreciated, right? That's the problem, yes. But mothers really sacrifice themselves for the child, especially when the child is young. Small child is helplessly dependent on the mother, you know. And she doesn't, if she takes her role as mother seriously, she doesn't discriminate. Oh, sorry, now, no, I'm sleeping. You know, let the baby cry for hours. I'm sleeping now. No. You know, a good mother will not be like that. She can't let the child cry there without attending it and serving it, you know. So this mother-child relationship is the purest form of love we can find in this world. Even though it is also, of course, not really pure, because there's also some subtle expectations there, some emotional attachments, and so it's not really completely pure. But it is, out of all relationships, the mother-child relationship is the purest form of love, you know. Because there is the least expectation for sense gratification, for material enjoyment there. Whereas the man-woman relationship has probably the highest expectations and demands of joy and pleasure and satisfaction, right? Yes. Yeah, you agree with me here? You're with me? Yes. Yes. Yeah, so, I mean, even amongst friends, you know, there is not so much expectations and demands of enjoyment, of pleasure there, right? But man-woman relationship, so much expectations. That's what makes married life rather complicated often, you know, this expectations and demands. You are my husband, you should do this and this and this, and why aren't you doing? You know, or you are my wife, and oh God, you know, I wish you would do this and this. So these demands and expectations, they really make the relationship pretty complicated. So now going back to our spectrum there of pure love and materialistic love, you know, really the man-woman relationship is actually the furthest away from pure love. I hope this is not too disappointing for people here. But yeah, I think we have to see things as they are, you know? Yes, we can't keep ourselves in this illusion, you know? We have to be a little realistic. And if we are a little realistic, then when we do get married or enter a relationship, then we will not be so disappointed, you know? Yes. So from a spiritual perspective, it is very clear actually that the man-woman relationship is not meant to fulfill this longing for love. It is not meant for this. Yes. Good to be clear on this. And usually, of course, people are not clear on this. And I mean, I know people not from our society. Actually, it's one of my blood relatives. He was married for 5 times. Wow. You know? And the wife was younger and younger. In the last marriage, the wife was as old as his daughter from the first marriage. You know? So every time he thought, I married the wrong person. Let's try again, and again, and again, and again. You know? So 5 times he tried. Rather than thinking, or maybe this relationship is not meant to, you know, bring this fulfillment for the soul, this longing for love. Maybe it is not meant for that. Yeah, so from a spiritual point of view, we very clearly see this, that the man-woman relationship is not meant to fulfill this longing of the soul, this need of the soul for giving and accepting love. We look in the wrong direction. That's the problem. We have to turn towards the Lord, towards Krishna, or God, or whatever name we want to give him. that's where we find that fulfillment. Yes. And saying this doesn't, of course, mean that there is no value in married life. No, not at all. There is definitely an important purpose of married life, but it's not that one that we find this fulfillment for love, you know. So the purpose of married life from a spiritual perspective is to keep the mind and senses peaceful, so that we are focused on one partner, and that gives us the stability in life to develop that relationship which really fulfills that longing for love, which is with Krishna. That's the purpose of married life, just to give us that stability in life, you know, that the mind and senses are focused and we are stable and we are protected, because without this being situated in marriage, very easily we can degrade, and we, you know, we conceive a child with this person and that person, and well, this is almost a little bit like animal life then, you know. I mean, there is some animals, they stay together for life, like the storks, Storch, der Storch mit den roten Beinen, no? Yeah, they stay together for their whole life. Almost more civilized than some human beings these days. Yeah, I mean, I find it fascinating because they fly all the way to Africa in winter without GPS or anything, you know, or map or whatever, compass, and they find the same nest back when they fly back. I mean, that's a miracle, you know. And they stay together for their whole life. I heard they're mainly attached to the nest, actually, and that's why they stay together. But at least they stay together, you know. So it's one good thing, you know. So if we had that attachment to the common nest, that would also be something, you know, helpful. Yes. So yeah, I mean, yeah, some animal species are almost more civilized, you know. Yeah, so in any case, that's the purpose of married life, to give us that stability so we don't degrade and, you know, the senses are pulled this way, that way, and the other way, and so on, but that we are focused on one person, you know. And apart from that, of course, also family life. In spiritual practice, it is seen as a whole purifying journey, because within family life there is so much purification of the heart taking place. Oh yes, we learn tolerance, you know, yes, patience, tolerance. And we have to learn how to serve each other. If we want to keep a marriage together, we have to be willing to work on ourselves, because the partner always acts like a mirror, reflecting our own natures and unwanted qualities, right? So it's a perfect opportunity to work on oneself, but for that we have to be introspective and honest, and we may have to take advice of somebody who can see more easily from a side where both have to work on and. But if we agree to do this internal work, then we can really become mature personalities. We grow. Right? We grow and we mature. And especially if we go through this journey of family life within serious spiritual practice, then it is even a more powerfully purifying journey. our Srila Prabhupada gave us this little analogy, because in our scriptures it is described that this man-woman attraction is so strong, and that actually binds us to material existence. Yes, it is binding, and it is also distracting us from the Lord, actually. You know, this man-woman attraction. That's why we can see in all religions, you know, the man-woman relationship originally is considered sinful outside marriage. Right? That understanding we find in all religions, in Christianity, in Hinduism, in Islam, everywhere we find this. Right? It is sinful. Of course, today, you know, people don't even talk about sinful life, sündhaft. This sounds like something from the Middle Ages or something. But yeah, if we look at the roots of the religious values, it is considered sinful. So that's why in all religions we find this institution of marriage, that we make a promise in front of the Lord that we will stay together and serve each other, and that blesses that relationship, right? That's what this marriage institution is all about, you know, so that we find in all religions. So in our scriptures, in the Srimad Bhagavatam, it is more detailed described how binding this man-woman relationship is. So, and our Srila Prabhupada, he gave us this funny little analogy. He said, this man-woman relationship, it's like we step into a thorn when we have a thorn in our foot. No? Dorn im Fuß. Very painful situation, very uncomfortable. So, but what we can do is, we take another thorn and we pull out that thorn that we have in the foot. But we have to be expert. Otherwise, we may end up with 2 thorns in the foot. Right? If we are not so expert. So, and the second thorn, this is married life in spiritual practice. That actually uproots that desire for this man-woman relationship, that attraction. It uproots that. So it's interesting that, you know, that element that can be most binding can also, when it is used properly, can be the remedy. Right? Yes, well, it's, I guess with medicines, it's often like that too, you know, that a medicine is at the same time also a certain poison, but giving it in the right dose will cure the disease, you know. Yes. Yeah, so that's the purpose of married life in very brief, you know, presentation, as a brief presentation. But yes, nevertheless, the goal of it all is to actually ultimately reconnect with Krishna and develop that lost and forgotten relationship with the Lord. And the main way how we in Krishna consciousness, we practice that is by chanting the Maha Mantra, chanting the holy name. Up there it is. Either in private meditation, in japa, or also as kirtan, what we know as kirtan, that we sing it. Because the Maha Mantra is actually non-different from Krishna himself. It is quite an amazing thing that Krishna extends himself into the material world by by giving us his holy name. And by chanting his holy name, we actually connect with him. In Christianity, we also have that understanding, geheiligt werde dein Name, hallowed be thy name, right? So there's also this understanding there that the Lord's name is holy and powerful and potent, and we can associate with him through chanting this name. Yeah, so and by chanting this name, the Maha Mantra, that gradually reawakens our lost and forgotten relationship with the Lord. So much so that if we practice this for a good while, seriously, I mean, I've been practicing it now for 38 years without any interruption. So your vision of life and the world changes, and you do actually experience a higher level of pleasure and joy, and you do gradually feel some connection with Krishna. Now the interesting thing is, as this relationship with Krishna more tangibly manifests, then we can see each and every living entity as a part of Krishna. And we can actually learn to love every living entity also. But that love is not sentimental. It is based on our love to Krishna. It's like, we have the saying, if you love me, you love my dog. So if we love actually Krishna, then we love all the different parts and parcels of his creation. Because Krishna is also in each and every living entity, a super soul present there. So we actually develop some love, some compassion for each and every living entity, not only human beings. We can, learn to see every plant, every tree, everything as part and parcel of Krishna's creation, and we can learn to love like that in a pure form. But it is based on our connection with Krishna. And actually, Srila Prabhupada, he was a perfect example of this. I didn't have the opportunity to meet him because he left this world in 1977. But yes, from what his disciples tell us and descriptions of his pastimes, how he was traveling the world and preaching, you can be very clear that he had this divine, sublime love, not only for Krishna, but for every living entity. And that actually prompted him to come in his old age to the Western world and tirelessly preach and distribute this knowledge, the science of the soul and this chanting of the Maha Mantra. What his driving force was, that compassion and love. And there's many beautiful descriptions of devotees who traveled with him, his direct disciples, that even his amazing effulgence he had. So effulgence comes from the consciousness of a person. So if a person has very pure divine consciousness, consciousness is a very powerful energy flooding the whole body and emanating through every pore of the skin, actually. So, and, a pure devotee like Srila Prabhupada, his consciousness was divine and sublime. And that radiated from his very body. And even people who did not know Prabhupada, they could perceive this. There was one story where Srila Prabhupada was walking through the city somewhere in America on the way to a Rath Yatra parade. I'm sure most of you know what's Rath Yatra. You have this here in Zurich also, right? Yes. This nice Indian festival where we pour the cart there. Yeah, so Prabhupada was on the way to a Rath Yatra parade, walking with his disciples in a group, and then his disciples overheard a conversation between two policemen. And one was saying to the other, "Look at this man, he is glowing." And these policemen had no clue who Prabhupada was. No clue. But they could see that he is shining, he is effulgent. So that, is the effulgence coming from this divine, pure, loving consciousness. Yes. So, and this is available in the human form of life. Yes, it is available. We can all develop this if we really practice this process of bhakti yoga. I mean, bhakti means devotion, love. Prabhupada translated it very down to earth as devotional service, making this point that to love means to serve selflessly. It's not some lofty feeling or something, but it's very down to earth service. So he translated bhakti as devotional service, service in devotion. So if we practice this process sincerely, we can reach very high levels of joy, of bliss, and of love. So much higher than this man-woman attraction and sexual love and all this. There's so many higher levels of love available in the human form of life. Yes. So, and that's basically, in a nutshell, what we are all striving for here, Yes, to reawaken our loving relationship with Krishna, but mainly by chanting the Maha Mantra. Because, let's be clear on that, just to conclude. I'm hoping we are aware of this fact that we all will have to meet death one day, something we like to forget. So in death, we are tested. Which relationship is the most important for us? Is it the relationship with Krishna, with God? Or is it our relationship with husband, wife, children, grandchildren, dog, cat, whatever? So, and if our relationship with Krishna is the most important relationship for us, then we can reach him. Then that gives us the permission to enter the spiritual world, Krishna's kingdom. But if we have other relationships in our life which are more important to us, well, then we have to come back one more time to this material world and finish this more important business. Yes. So we may be lying on our deathbed and we may be lamenting, I didn't see my grandchild, my granddaughter getting married. So we may just have to come back to see that, how the granddaughter gets married. I'm not sure if it's worthwhile. Yes. Yeah, so, and we have to prepare for this final exam of this lifetime. Yes, and by chanting the Maha Mantra, that's the main way how to prepare and how to reawaken that loving relationship. And then at the same time, as we become purified, we will learn to love everyone. Yes, as part and parcel of Krishna. Yes. Okay, so let me see if we have some questions. Since it is a pretty practical topic, love. Yes, Pooh. Ihr könnt auch auf Deutsch fragen, wenn ihr in Englisch nicht so euch ausdrücken könnt.
Yeah, I usually tend to read the last or like try to avoid questions, but right now I just have to jump in.
Okay,
like,
good. Jump.
When you mention about the aspect of love and the difference between selfishness and selflessness, it kind of gave me this like it's pretty clear, but isn't selflessness also kind of a bit of selfishness in a way? Like that's just what it came into my mind, and I figure I should ask. So yeah, I like, isn't that in a way, because how would I explain this? Like a couple of weeks, like a week ago or so, I left my apartment for a couple of days, and when I came back, I was opening the windows so to be fresh air because it was a bit hot. And then I noticed in the window there were 4 wasps, 2 were dead and 2 were alive. And I noticed they were like kind of weak, so I immediately jumped and got some water, and yeah, and I gave them, and I can tell that they were really grateful to me for that. And I made sure they drank water, and then I like let them go, and it made me feel really good. Yeah, but
so therefore you think it wasn't so selfless afterward?
Yes, but ultimately, it's like it came to me and how I felt, right?
Yes.
So that's why I'm kind of confused.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Yes. So it means it's all a question of motive, and the motives can be very subtle, you know?
Mm-hmm.
That I give this wasp some water because I want to feel good, my good deed for the day, you know? Yes.
Well, I didn't felt it that way. It was an immediate reaction instinct.
Yes.
Yeah.
But actually, one thing I wanted to also read to you, but the time was running out a bit. But maybe I'll read this now. I did read it also yesterday in our lecture on Radharani's appearance. But this is just such a powerful statement to make it clear what is pure love. Yes. And these are words of Srimati Radharani. She says this. And it's very deep and profound, so try and listen carefully. So she says, I do not mind my personal distress. I only wish for the happiness of Krishna, for his happiness is the goal of my life. However, if he feels great happiness in giving me distress, that distress is the best of my happiness.
Okay.
Wow, that's a very high level, highest level of pure love, you know?
Yeah.
That we have this mood. I'm not worried about my happiness or my distress. All I want is the happiness of Krishna. That's the goal of my life. So, and if it gives him happiness to give me distress, then my distress becomes the best of my happiness.
That's how I felt.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, but you were not in a distressful situation. So this means, you know, we are willing to accept any kind of suffering in our life. You were not suffering there opening the window, huh?
No, but I felt really overwhelmed for the wasps, and I was like,
well, but no, what I'm talking about is your real suffering.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah.
So, that if we experience some really torturing, suffering condition, but we have that understanding, well, if this is pleasing to Krishna, that I'm going through this, then let me embrace this calamity, you know, with happy heart, knowing that it will be pleasing to the Lord. I mean, if we had that attitude in married life, I don't think there would be any divorces, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, if husband and wife would have that attitude. I'm not interested in my happiness. I only want that you are happy. So I'm happy to accept any kind of distress and suffering in order to make you happy. Wow, then married life would actually become closer to love, you know, if we would have that mood. But usually it's the other way around. As long as I'm happy and it suits me and my senses are satisfied, yes, it's all fine. But if somebody else comes along who offers more pleasure, you know, then I go with that. You know, yes, my happiness is in the center. Yeah, so that's the difference between iron and gold, you know. Yes, big difference. Yes. Do we have any other questions or points for discussion? Or did I make you all speechless here? Here we have a question.
It's not a question, but just to add on to that, what you were saying about the mother and the child relationship.
Yes.
You regarded it as the purest form.
Yes.
I had a master once, and he told me, he talked about it. He said people regard mother and son relationship, or the children, not the son, as the purest, but it's not. I just want to take your note on that one more time, because he says the mother has a lot of expectations. The mother wants the child to take care of her when she's older and take care of the health and look after. And he added one more thing. In fact, the grandparents and the grandchildren have the purest form of the love, because they have few years, maybe they won't see them for very long, 10, 15 years. They'll be playing with them, and then probably they'll leave the world. So they have no expectations at all. At the same time, very, very unconditional love for the grandchildren. So
this is an interesting point. And actually, Srila Prabhupada, he was also saying that the relationship between grandparents and grandchild is more sweet, you know, more sweet. But I dare say, as a rule, the grandparents don't serve as much as the mother.
Yeah.
I think nobody can argue with that.
Definitely,
you know?
yeah.
Because the mother already goes through 9 months pregnancy, then childbirth. My God, you know, this is a lot of suffering. And then the first few years, whew, you know, she is up day and night there, especially the first few months, let's say. You know, this is intense service. And the grandparents, they're just playing and giving the lollies and, you know,
yeah. But I mean, there's instances of also mothers abandoning their children, you know, otherwise there wouldn't have been any orphanages in this world. So
yeah. I mean,
there are exceptional cases, of course, but
this
just wanted to add.
Yeah, this is a good point, especially these days. You know, being a mother, what, you're only mother and a housewife? Is that all you're doing?
Yeah.
You know, it's almost looked down upon. But, you know, in Vaishnav culture or even Hindu culture, mother comes right after Krishna. Matru Devo Bhava, Pitru Devo Bhava, Acharya Devo Bhava, Atiti Devo Bhava, right? You know these sayings. Anybody in an Indian body here, you know this. So Matru Devo Bhava, yes, regard your mother as God. Comes straight after Krishna comes mother, then only comes father. You know? So, yeah, it's actually almost like a sacred connection between mother and child. But because now sense enjoyment is the goal in life in most cultures, therefore, you know, children are almost a disturbance in the parents' enjoyment, and that's why mothers often put their children very early in the daycare center so she can work and earn money and enjoy life and this and that. So yeah, the whole importance of motherhood is almost lost and forgotten actually. Yes, unfortunately. Yeah, yes. Okay, do we have any concluding question, comment? Yes, last one. You have the last word.
Thank you. How does it pleases Krishna or makes him happy if we have struggles in our life or purification? Because normally we speak about that it pleases him if we serve him with devotion. But how could you maybe say a few words about that?
Well, the struggles in our life, if they are within Krishna consciousness, you know, within spiritual practice, they usually help us, or they should help us, to take Krishna consciousness more seriously, that we take more shelter of the process of Krishna consciousness. Like, for example, before the war in Ukraine started, I used to go for 20 years to Ukraine to preach. So I know Ukraine very well, all these cities which are in the news. I've been there and I know so many devotees there. ISKCON is very strong in Ukraine. You know, there's thousands of devotees, so many temples and. So, and many of the devotees in Ukraine, they have shared with me how this war made them so much more serious in their spiritual life. Yes. When the bombs are raining from the sky, what other shelter do you have except Krishna? You know? Yes. Yes. So that's the beauty as a devotee, that any challenge, any calamity, we can turn around and make it into a golden opportunity for making progress, for becoming more serious, taking more shelter of chanting the holy name and you know. Whereas if we are situated in material satisfaction and everything goes according to our plan, so then we easily become complacent, you know, and we don't really helplessly call out to the Lord, you know. But when there is some struggle, some calamities, and sometimes Krishna sends them just to help us feel helpless. Yes, because we are meant to helplessly call out to the Lord. Like a mother, again we have the mother, like the child crying for his mother. Right? Anybody who's been a mother here? When your child cries in desperation, helplessly, you will drop everything and run there. Right? Yes. So Krishna also responds like that. You know? If we find ourselves in calamities and challenges, if we actually take shelter of Krishna and we call out to him helplessly, so then immediately, oh, now he is crying. Let me see. Let me make myself more visible to him. You know, and Krishna does respond like that. He makes himself visible to us when we cry out in desperation, you know. Yes. And we show our sincerity. Like Rupa Goswami, one of our previous acharyas, he was saying the only qualification we need to get pure bhakti, pure love for Krishna, is intense longing, greed, lolyam, you know. So, and that longing and greed for Krishna we express, especially when we have some calamities, you know, that we chant the holy name with feeling that I need you, I want you, Krishna, and we fill our heart with longing for the Lord, you know. So, and then he will respond, very natural, you know. Krishna is a person, so he responds. He's in our hearts as Paramatma, so he sees what we are whispering there in our heart, you know. Yes. Okay, so thank you so much for your kind attention. Also, I will be leaving early tomorrow morning, so I want to take the opportunity to also say goodbye to you all, and thank you for allowing me to visit, for your hospitality here in Zurich. I have to say and share this with you, that really Zurich Temple is one of the most dynamic temples in Europe. Yes. I'm traveling a lot. Every weekend I'm in a different city or country. So there's only very few countries I haven't visited in Europe. So Zurich has a very dynamic and wonderful mood, and quite a large congregation of people from all different backgrounds, nationalities, but it's all very harmoniously, you know, they're cooperating and serving together, and yeah, it's a very wonderful place. So please take advantage, come here as often as you can, and connect with the devotees, establish relationships, offer some service, and. Okay. Srila Prabhupada ki, Samaveda Bhaktivinoda ki, Gaura Premanandi, Hare Krishna.
Her Grace Devaki Mataji ki jai. Thank you very much, Devaki Mataji, for speaking on a topic what is not pure and pure love.